So, welcome to another episode of the FD podcast. This is going to be a little bit more of a chilled episode than the last one. A lot of you will obviously follow me from my Francis Diet Fitness page. And over the last decade, some of my stories have been really popular. But the one thing I can never do is amalgamate everything into one long form bit of content that you can watch, you can rely on, you can replay. When I had my last podcast studio, we tried to do it, but obviously, as you know, conversations, they get convoluted, you end up going off on a tangent. And even though this will be positioned a little bit like a melee of myths, my opinions on influencers and popular topics, I'm going to try to make it so you can cut away, you can cut bits in. I end and I begin another myth in a manner where you can see it's all co-joined. The reason is a lot of you come to me per year and we coach thousands, and your basic understanding is flawed, and that's okay. I take my cars to garages all the time and they will tell me the same things over and over and I won't get it. I've not been a mechanic. I've not done any engineering. I've not done any straight out mechanics courses. So when they tell me, I don't take offense. I don't want anyone to take offense now. What I want you to do is have light bulb moments. I want to say some things to you and I want you to definitively know this is because, I've studied every level of biology and chemistry. I've been through 20 years of hiring the best consultants, best doctors. I know I was taught at uni how to research. And that's one thing I'm actually going to talk to you about, which I didn't think of, is why your researching isn't what you think. So I'm going to go straight in. And the first topic I'm asked about is to talk about hormones and fat loss. Now, I could do 2 hours on this, but I'm going to tell you the basics. Nothing hormonally is stopping 99% of you from losing fat and building muscle. And I'll tell you why. And there's a small caveat to this. And the caveat is there are certain metabolic diseases where you just can't apply a lot of the laws of calories in, calories out, because the behavioral issues that come from them, for instance, Hashimoto's, chronically high cortisol levels, for me to arrogantly tell you to apply a lot of the logic I'm going to do now just wouldn't work. These are deep inbuilt health issues which need a series of often medicines, supplements, and behavior. So there's always a caveat to everything, as you know. But let's really talk about hormones and fat loss, because a lot of you will tell me, Scott, I'm going through menopause. Menopause is a big one. Women get to the age where they're either perimenopausal, menopausal, or they've just exited menopause. And I'm going to group you all in the same group because really, incidentally, you all are really suffering from about three things. Number one is when you're menopausal or perimenopausal, for all intents and purposes, your estrogen, your progesterone are crushed. And that will lead to a series of behavioral issues. Now, the theme of today is thermodynamics, which is the law of energy conservation, calories in, calories out, will nearly always win if you sort the behavior that is adjacent to it. A lot of you don't understand, rightly so, that your behavior is actually stopping the maths working. Now, I want you literally to repeat that whenever you see something, because what a lot of you will do is you will do the opposite to something what's called Occam's razor. So Occam's razor is if you hear hooves outside your room and you're in 99% of the free world, think horses, not zebras. What a lot of you aren't focusing on are the really simple things which you don't know exist, which are making you go, oh my God, Scott, it's because I'm menopausal, it's because I've got high cortisol, it's because of this and that. And it's not. It's because, rightly or wrongly, ill-educated, and the education you lack is the thing which we all have, which is why we think it's simple. So menopause, your progesterone and your estrogen are crushed. So you feel like shit. You don't want to bounce out of bed in the morning. Your cravings are high. You are scientifically more ratty. You're more picky. You're more snappy. So let's pause there. You've got lack of energy. What does lack of energy mean? Lack of calories out. You're not going to want to walk 10,000 steps like you did when you were 25 or 30 working in the office when you were raising your kids. So instantly pause it there. Your energy out, calories burned, is lower. Your ability to want to do calories out is lower because your energy levels are poor. Your body's ability to use energy is low. So that's altering your want to go to the gym. Maybe it's dark outside. When you were 30, progesterone, estrogen are doing the things I want to do. Cortisol's doing the thing I want to do, waking you up in the morning. You've got your kids, you're moving. That extra 500, 800 calories a day out is happening. Now You don't want to fucking do it. You want to watch EastEnders. You want to watch Corrie. You want to sit there with a good book. You want to moan to your friends. So pause there. Now, you're more picky. Your appetite has increased. You're more ratty. And what do we know happens when someone's more ratty? You need more dopamine. Where do you get dopamine from? Your favorite snacks, your favorite foods. You're picking more. Your ability to go to the fridge and make good decisions is lower. And what happens then? Increase of calories going in. Now, pause there, because I'll talk about this topic later. I want a lot of you now to look at something called the metabolic pyramid. Go and Google it. The metabolic pyramid is, by all intents and purposes, your metabolism for now. And I know science boffins will look at me and go, Scott, your metabolism has a lot of hormones and interactions and the endocrine. And we're not going there, because for all intents and purposes, thermodynamics, calories in, calories out, is the reason why 18,000 of my clients look in shape they do. Seldom has one needed me to go deep down into their endocrine system or get them a doctor to look at these things. Yes, these nuances help, but largely the mistake you're making is one of these things. So you've Googled the metabolic pyramid and you've seen your BMR, which is your body mass burning calories, is about 60% of your day. And you're like, oh yes, Scott, I have put on weight as I've got older, which means technically it takes more calories per day to keep you going. Well, why aren't I in shape like I was? Look at the rest of the chart. And the bit we want, the 30%, which is your exercise burned calories and your non-exercise additional calories. I'm not going to call it thermogenesis. It'll just confuse people. Let me just keep it easy for you. So now you've looked at it and gone, oh, I see why the body weight increase doesn't matter, because you're not doing a fucking thing. And if you are, you're not tracking it. I speak to hundreds of menopausal women per year. And do you know how many legitimately track their calories in? The biscuits, the oils, the nuts, the meals out, against the steps, the workouts, the stuff they do at home. You don't, because you don't feel like it, because your hormones are crushed, which isn't the reason, it's the behavioral change. So what I want you to do now is look at that graph and work out what you're doing per day and how that's fallen. Then look at your body mass and realize that most of that is probably made up by fat now. You've lost some muscle because you've gone through menopause. You haven't worked out as hard because you don't wanted to. So what are we really talking about has happened in menopause? You've gained a bit of fat, lost a bit of active muscle, not done as much, and started to overeat because you don't feel as good. What does that mean? Calories in has gone up, calories out has gone down. Weight gain over a century. Most women come to me and tell me they've had problems for 8, 9, 10 years. And it isn't because you've changed. We have got the most advanced meta-analysis studies now to show that metabolisms don't change much over time. All that happens is your body weight goes up because you've gained more fat, because you've done less, because you mentally believe you can't do as much, and your muscle has fallen. Muscle isn't as metabolically active as people think. It's about 7 to 9 calories per pound of muscle burned per day, as opposed to about 5, 6 when it comes to fat. So really, if you gained 10 pounds of muscle in a year, if you were, Icelandic born, Nigerian born, and you were one of those super genetic phenoms that gained that amount of muscle in a year naturally, you probably burn an apple, a banana more a day. So it's not that, it's the fact that over a decade, your mood has induced a slowdown in what you've done and an increase of what you've eaten. So when people say to me, Scott, your lady's in menopause, how do they do it? Because they understand that having crushed estrogen, progesterone means they really need to force themselves to move more, force themselves to take a bigger slice of the pie and track it. They can't have off-plan meals. They can, but they can't not account for them. So what's happened over time is your orders coming into your business have gone down, and you've unfortunately employed more staff. And you thought it was just because of the environment, and it wasn't. It's because you rightly or wrongly took your eye off the ball. So ladies, when someone tells you your menopause is why you've gained weight, or you will, say, no, I won't. I will track my calories. I will track my workouts and my steps. And if you want to, remember, all this predicates you still not feeling good. I hate to quote him, and it really pains me, but Andrew Tate said, most people should do what they do every day, regardless of how they feel. And I am a big fan of that, but it won't really help you in the long run. So go see your doctor. I am a big fan of medication when it's deserved. If you're someone who can't get out of bed because your whole world has come to a collapse because you haven't taken better care of it, you might need an antidepressant to get you out of the slump enough to start knocking down some tasks, enough to feel better, enough to stop them. Same with menopause. If you need HRT and it makes you feel like doing more steps, doing that workout, tracking calories, if it helps you move more so you can eat a little less without fear of putting on weight, then HRT has helped you, because what we're looking at in the metabolic pyramid is create an environment where our body weight works for us and our activity works for us and food works against us if you're trying to lose weight. So the first myth is menopause doesn't make you gain weight. It creates an environment where your behavior changes to the point where you then do gain weight. And these kind of hormonal changes actually matter in a lot of things. So polycystic ovarian syndrome is the most talked about metabolic issue with insulin resistance I've heard. You will get some accounts that literally make their name Jane PCOS Guru. Now, nobody should be dealing with people's blood work who are not endocrinologists, or like us, who don't employ endocrinologists and then we work with them. Most of my clients get blood work done. Those who bring it to us, we then take it to experts who I pay out of my own pocket, I may add, and then we work to advise them. Never would I call myself a hormone specialist, a hormone helper. If I were to tell you, I have probably seen out of the hundreds who've got that name, none who should be calling themselves anything to do with hormones, because they don't have a clue what the building bricks were to build the house that they're now putting a roof on. Hormones require years of specialist research methods led endocrinological training, biochemistry, and pharmacology. Most people, unfortunately, don't know the basics behind the human body and the interactions to know how your hormones work. And I'll give you a quick example. I hear everywhere, oh, I'll help you balance your hormones. If your hormones balanced, you would die. That is the gist. Your hormones are cascading like a seesaw. One goes up, one goes down. Cortisol needs to rise in the morning to get your adenosine system online to wake you up. If cortisol is chronically high, adenosine is low, you don't wake up. You get lethargic. And that leads to lack of movement. That leads to lack of mood. So you see, you can't balance those. When people are doing steroid tests in the Olympics, they look at the balance between testosterone and estrogen, testosterone and cortisol ratio, because one suppresses the other. Neither can be high for periods of time, or you will die. You will become almost, you can be liver toxic, neurotoxic. So when someone says, I'll help you balance your hormones, go fucking stay away from me. They're not meant to balance you. I was going to say a word I definitely shouldn't say on this podcast because I'll be demonetized. Crank is the word I'm going to use. So yeah, but the basis is we're talking about PCOS because I feel like a lot of people have undiagnosed PCOS. They've gained weight. They've got, the bigger hips, the bigger bust. They find that whenever they have a carbohydrate meal, they get tired because they're insulin resistant, meaning in layman's. And again, this whole podcast is in layman's. If you want to see me talk about endocrinological issues, if you want to hear me talk about the ratios between estrogen and progesterone during the luteal phase, look on my highlights. That is when I am book smart. This is to help you beat the myths. So the bullshit behind PCOS is insulin resistance stops you losing weight. You need to either eat below 900 calories or you need medication. Caveat, you might need medication anyway because of the behavioral changes, because you want to become fertile. But we have dozens and dozens of meta-analysis studies to show that in a calorie-controlled environment, whether it's high carb or low carb, HIIT workouts or cardiovascular-based workouts, people with PCOS, women with PCOS lose weight the same as other people. And actually, with some forms of PCOS, you can have slightly higher testosterone levels. And yeah, some of you women out there will say, yeah, I know I have to shave my beard every month. One of my ex-clients, Harriet, joked with me the other day. It will allow you over a period of time to gain more muscle. You will become more shapely and stronger because of it. So there are some upsides, but the thing stopping you losing weight is we go right back to the menopause ladies. You're not tracking your calories, tracking your movement because you feel so lost. And one thing I'm going to touch upon all the way through this next 45 minutes is your mood will often hide a lot of your behaviors, which will make you, unfortunately, blind to what is going on. Everyone might have seen The Biggest Loser TV show. And there was another one, and I always forget it, where they basically secret eaters. They followed you around. And these are bright, young individuals, overweight, who have been asked to track food all day. So there's a camera crew coming around and you've been asked to track food. If you watch it, I think you can YouTube it, people were underreporting wild. The camera is on you. Underreporting calories by up to 80%. I think a lady in season 2 misreported her calories by 1,600 calories. Blindly looked in the camera and said, I haven't eaten any more than that, because she didn't understand the calories in nuts. She didn't understand sugary drinks. A client said to me yesterday, hi, I know we're not allowed different things in our coffees, but I've been adding agave nectar, honey. And I went, what, pure sugar? 150 calories per X unit. Oh shit, I thought that was like another sweetener. It is, but it's highly caloric. And she'd been having 2 a day over a week. That could be 2,000 calories. That's deficit gone. So with PCOS, a lot of it is you ladies have been lied to, and the lie has predicated your action. If I told you now, women on the street are murderers, all of them. Every man, woman, child is walking past everybody, and the women are looking at the women going, well, I'm not. And the men are looking at women and walking on the side of the road. Most people won't even check. So that's what happens with PCOS. I've had people sign up with me and go, Scott, I've been told calories in, calories out won't work. Okay, well, how many times did you try it? Oh, I didn't, because it doesn't work. Well, yeah, but you got to try it to know. No, I trusted it. How long for? 4 or 5 years I paid this woman. The clandestine nature of a lot of accounts on Instagram, I will actually talk about later, because there are some blatant lies and fudges of the truth to make money. And often they make a stack of money, and PCOS is one of them. There's plenty of studies to show that, yes, being insulin resistant, you will use and utilize carbohydrate differently. You might well feel sluggish after a carbohydrate meal, but as long as calories in, calories out are the predominant factor at the end of the day, and that means calories out is more, you will lose weight. You just might not feel the same as I would being leaner without PCOS. So again, Occam's razor, think hooves, think horses, as long as that part's right. But a lot of you won't do that. You'll say to me, oh, Scott, I kind of didn't need to count my calories because PCOS. No, go via the proven facts first and properly. And again, one thing I'm going to kind of swoop around is a lot of you don't do things properly, even with a coach like me breathing down your neck. I have dozens of clients a month tell me, I still didn't weigh my food this week. I eyeballed my food this week. I said I was going to go gym, but I didn't. So imagine doing it for yourself with no one watching you. Obviously, people slip up. But if you choose not to slip up and you've got menopause or PCOS, please try the basics first. Yes, I will caveat a little thing, even as a layman's debate. Vitamin D3 will help in the winter. Creatine will help everybody physically and cognitively. But again, work hard enough on the basics of the metabolic pyramid and you will lose weight. In 85 to 90% of what everyone is watching these afflictions, which are you just gained weight because you ate too much, you got a bit of a piggy attitude on, you didn't do much movement, you had a couple of kids, couldn't be fucked to go to the gym, and you just lost steam. And, you will be fine with that. So you're looking at the metabolic pyramid, and a lot of you will go to me, but Scott, like, I'm a big guy or a big girl, and the bottom of the pyramid, I'm pretty big. So I'm a 15, 18 stone bloke, 14 stone woman, average 5'4". It says I burn a lot of calories, but my metabolism's slow. The metabolism lie. A lot of you women underreport what you eat. And it is there is a gender bias on underreporting calories. Men tend to underreport workouts or say, and they're lazy. Women are secret eaters. You're more emotional. We've gone through the whole progesterone estrogen cycle. And unfortunately for some of you, 2 to 3 weeks a month, you're on a hormonal cascade. And I feel for you. But what are we talking about? We're talking about the metabolism myth. Everyone's heard that friend down at work. Jake, he eats a pizza, eats constant shit. He's got a fast metabolism. That's why he's skinny. No, it is, Scott. It fucking isn't. Yeah, but Scott, I'm 40. Marjorie. I'm a bigger lady. Got slow metabolism. No, Marjorie. Big things take big calories. Well, no, Scott, chatting shit. I know I have because I can't lose weight. Can, just don't know how. Or are lying. Offended, cool. You won't ever get out of the problem if facts offend you. So facts aren't feelings, and these are the facts. That skinny person in work who has the pizza is also skinny because they move a fucking lot. And here's a fact you'll all know. They've done studies on staircases, offices, and people. Guess who take the stairs more? The skinny people. Guess who take the lift more? The heavy people. Guess why the slim people take the stairs more? Because it's easy to walk the stairs when you're slim. Guess why the heavy people take the lift more? Because it's easier to take the lift when you're heavy. Why? Years of decade-long behavioral change. You took the stairs too little, ate the extra pizza, you got bigger. You got bigger, you did less. You did less, more calories in than calories out. The slimmer person kept habitually taking the stairs. Maybe there's a vanity point. The skinnier person wanted to always be in shape, so they did. They knew, they heard, they read, they tracked. The skinny person, that pizza is probably all they'll eat for hours and hours, whereas you didn't do 1,000 calories in one go, but you had 250 from the latte, you had a bit more pizza, you tend to be a picker. They've done massive studies. People who are overweight tend to have more trauma behind the eating problems. They tend to eat their feelings more. They go home. They tend to sit down for longer. They don't go to the toilet as often. What you'll find when you're very educated, and what I'm trying to get across is your behavior will show why you look the way you do. The same as multi-millionaires. They will invest more. They won't get the new car really quickly. They will sleep in their office more. Over the decades, they were better investing. They saved less and they did more with it. It didn't happen overnight, the same as this. So that slimmer girl, she's naturally moving a lot more. That pizza fueled her for a lot longer. That pizza didn't fuel you as longer because you're heavier. Heavier people do burn more calories, but not when they're consuming them at the same rate. And we go to gym workouts for that. But Scott, I train 3 times a week. Larger people tend to go to the gym and they actually don't work out as much as fast because they're a bit more paranoid. They spend more time looking around. They're actually less motivated to do it. Just because you burn more calories doesn't mean you did it. An hour's workout isn't. You got through the door, you looked around, you worried if someone was watching you, you sat on your phone a bit, you rightly put your head down. The person who was slimmer bounced between machine, didn't care what people thought. Remember, 4 or 5 times a week, every month, every year, 10 years, those workouts aren't the same. And this is what I'm trying to tell you all. The secrets to whether you gain fat or lose weight are in your behaviors, in your habits. So when you look at the metabolic pyramid and you say to me, oh, actually, Scott, I'm a large girl, so I burn more calories. Why do I think it's slow? Look at the rest of it. Larger people move less. Larger people are slower. Larger people tend to eat more. What's that? Calories in, calories out. And you're all nodding because you know. I'm 6'3". I was probably 11 stone when I played pro basketball. I moved so much when it came to me bodybuilding and gaining weight, I literally had to stop moving. My first uni professor said to me, he explained this to me, he said, you're going to have to eat loads of shit to slow yourself down to sit down. Only then did I gain weight because my metabolism was slow because I was light. So gaining weight was hard. I had to move more. Same thing. So when you see Jane at work, who's 5'11" and 9 stone, she's 9 stone. That's a slow metabolic rate. It doesn't take much energy to keep 9 stone. But she moves a lot with it. So what's that? That's pizza, that's junk food, that's chocolate, because she burns it off. Whereas for you, because you also underreport food, no one overweight is happy with their weight to the point where they are as vigilant as someone arrogant with abs. You can see this across everything I do. My clients who are lean are obsessed with tracking those calories. My clients who are more overweight will be prone to picking, emotional eating, cheat meals they don't account for because they're embarrassed, because obviously they don't want to be where they are. I feel for you, but unfortunately it's self-sabotage in the metabolic pyramid levels that will cause you to stay where you are. So when someone says to you, oh, Joan, I know you're a bigger lady, but you've got a slow metabolism, say to them, it's not actually, it's fast. It's my habits are really bad. And when your friend says to you, oh, Jane, you're slim, you've got fast metabolism, be like, no, it's actually slow. I'm just light and I move a lot and I'm very fit and I train and watch my food. Because actually that's what you'll find. Because when they did the secret eaters and the picky shows, they found the people who they said ate the most didn't eat that much over a 2 to 3 day period. And the people who said they didn't eat a lot picked and had higher fat meals. And over 2 or 3 days, they almost ate triple. We know. Because you cannot beat thermodynamics, calories in, calories out. You just have to be smart after this and work out where on the metabolic pyramid you sit and how to alter the ratios or get a smart coach. So we look at food in a different way now because we just realized that for some of you, you're not doing that well with high fat, high carb meals. You know, people with PCOS, high carb meals make them sluggish. But what's the debate around the biggest meals and what meals are good or bad for you? So no food, apart from super ultra processed food, is inherently good or bad. The body and the gut doesn't really recognize anything. Obviously, if you're having ultra processed foods, there's going to be a lot of problems that come from E numbers and carcinogenic compounds, not to the degree a lot of the pages make out, but it's not going to be the best for you. Whereas an avocado, some eggs is better for the body to use because they're substances, unlike alcohol, the body knows. But volume, as we've just talked about, is the key. So, Joan, you're 5'1", 9 stone. You've got a little bit of fat to lose. You want to have a pizza, 2,000 calories. Why is that worse for you than me? 17.5 stone guy, muscular, lean. I'll tell you why. Because what most you don't realize is you've still got to burn 3,500 calories to burn 1 pound of fat. So let's talk about that in money terms. 3,500 pounds. I have got a bank balance of 3,500 pounds, and so do you. But my daily food money is 4,000 calories a day to keep me sustained. So I eat that pizza and I've still got 500 calories, 500 pounds to burn before I even make my break even. So I'm losing money by 500, but you, 5'9" stone, yours is 1,500. So that pizza has actually put you in the red. You've now gone over your calories for the day straight away and you're storing body fat. So when I diet, I can afford to slip up, fuck around, have that biscuit, have that latte, because I've got a higher threshold. Women come to me and they say, Scott, I've been dieting hard all week. I trained 3 times. Yeah, I went out on the weekend, had a little bit of wine, didn't lose any weight. I say, I know, because your maintenance per day is probably 1,500-1,600. 2 glasses of wine and a pizza are 1,500. Yeah, but I went to the gym 3 times. Light bodies don't burn many calories. The average person who's light, who goes to the gym, 200 to 400 calories. 3 times a week, 1,200 calories. See what I mean? One cheat meal erased your whole week's work because you're light. Whereas for me, I can just go for a walk that day and not eat. And that's 4,000 calories gone. So yes, this goes back to a light bulb moment most overweight people come to. They go, shit, why am I losing weight really fast then? Because you're just still fucking around with the calories in, calories out. Most overweight people, it's why, you see, I can't remember who I follow actually. There's a really cool guy on Instagram now who, Jamal, I think, he's doing a weight loss journey and he's losing like 8-10 pounds a week. People are like, that's too fast. I'm like, he's 450 pound guy. Do you know how much excess energy his body's got? The guy's probably 15 stone. Big guy from London. He can afford to lose that amount of fat. He can, to move his body at 400 pounds, which I think is like 30 stone, it must take 6,000-7,000 calories to keep him breathing. So he can have a cheat meal and not saying he definitely necessarily should for the psychology of it, but you, Jane, who's 5 foot and 9 stone, who sits in an office all day, not burning many calories, you can't do fuck all. You can't. It's why my clients who are small, who are lean, people go, oh my God, Scott, you had them on 1,200 calories. I know. How else did the metabolic pyramid work? Their body mass is low. They're small. They don't move a lot. And when they do, that doesn't burn many calories. So tell me what food you meant to put them on. Tell me how I meant to burn 3,500 calories per week or maybe more to help them get lean. Magic, God, Buddha, Allah, God, who is it? Who's going to help? It's not. It's the metabolic pyramid. So by now, you realize that a lot of these issues with an overweight person not losing weight, with a person at the gym thinking they burn more calories, with a light lady assuming she can have a cheat, it's all bullshit. It's all peddled by accounts that want you to stay with them. I'll tell a small woman, honestly, you're really small, so you burn fuck all calories when you're in the gym. You're really small, so walking around basically does nothing. And if you try and go off plan by 300 to 400 calories, you will erase that deficit because you ain't going to the gym and spending 3 hours on a circuit class to burn that off because you don't burn a lot. The same as the bigger guy. Someone 25, 30 stone comes to me on 1900 calories. Oh, Scott, I didn't lose weight this week. It's hormones. No. The metabolic pyramid shows you should have shit weight off so fast, you're like Russell Brand's PR team. But you didn't because you cheated or underreported. And you can lie and say it wasn't, but I have sacked clients and had them send abuse. And 3, 5, 6 weeks later, they go, yeah, Scott, can I come back? I was lying to you. And I know. I say, was there one hesitation in my voice when I sacked you? No, because the metabolic pyramid doesn't lie. Calories in, calories out doesn't lie. You can the average person, you can Google, you can near enough work out to about 25% what calories you burn in the gym. And this leads me on to my next point. Why a watch is bad for you. So Stanford, who were the other big one? Harvard did tests on every watch near enough under the sun. And I think the range was 29% to 52% inaccuracy. Inaccuracy. What does that mean? So I'll tell you what I worked out over 20 years in coaching tens of thousands of people. Your watches, the Apple ones, are probably 50% inaccurate. If you think you did 400, it was 200. And I even did a little ditty on Instagram a few years ago. I took a few clients and said, right, I'm going to guess your deficit. And they came to me with, say, 1.5 pounds loss. I said, how many times do you work out? I times those workouts by 50% less, added in the deficit, and I was near enough spot on. Because the problem with the watches they are teaching you can eat food back, which you can't, because food, when it goes in and comes out, is not equal. When food goes in, it might be building muscle. It might be fiber. It may be ethanol, methanol. You might have drunk some battery acid. God knows what you all do to lose weight, but it won't be equal and the body won't use it equally. For instance, when you drink alcohol, your body can't do a metabolic thing until it gets rid of it. So calories going in, they call dead calories. So you might be in a position where you had a pound of lard. The body will use that differently. It doesn't stop calories in, calories out, but it stops the way the body behaves, how efficient it is, how lively you are. And you're all trying to then say, well, the calories coming out must be equal to that. Some calories don't escape like that. So you may be saying, oh, I burned 400 calories or like someone said to me the other day, I just did a spin class, burned 1,000 calories, and he spat my food. So when I did that BBC show 10 years ago, when I lost the 4 stone in 8 weeks, I got taken on what's called a VO2 max test. Your VO2 max is probably the most specific scientific test for showing your body what your metabolic rate is and how many calories you can burn at any given point. I was 18.5 stone, fully juiced up, and I did my running, and they said I burnt 400 calories in an hour of running. I couldn't run for an hour. I can't run for an hour now. But it shows you, Jane goes to bingo. She's a little bit overweight, bless her, in her 40s. Did 500 calories from spin? No, you didn't. You probably did 200 because you stopped a bit. You chatted a bit. And unfortunately, and this is the kicker, larger unfit people are actually metabolically inefficient at using fat for fuel. And you probably left the gym and went, well, I did 500 calories, so I'll eat 250 calories back in that biscuit. When really you only burnt 250. So what did you do? You cancelled it out. And what happened? So what happens is this, and I'm going to add this as an aside. A lot of you diet for 4 or 5 weeks inefficiently without education and not a coach. And you go, Scott, I've been dieting for years. I've done every diet under the sun. I can't lose weight. No. As you can tell by now, your education was so far off, you were constantly doing things to screw your body's ability to lose that weight. You were eating back calories. You weren't burning as many calories as you thought you were. You were having cheat meals. You were smaller than you thought you were. You were bigger than you thought you were. And you'll be looking at me going, holy fuck, look at my page. It's why I have a job. You're not meant to assume you know anything in life you don't know. You're meant to hire a professional. So this is a bit of a job application episode. Hire someone who's smart, because you wonder why someone can lose 4 stone in 4 months and someone else took a year too. Chances are most of that year you were in a surplus, you were bouncing in and out of a deficit, you were emotionally eating, you didn't understand your behavior wasn't on point, you didn't understand that workout wasn't efficient for you. Because obviously doing an hour of bouncing on a trampoline is better for some of you than doing an hour weights. Most of you can't do an hour weights because you're crap at it, but for the purpose of losing fat, keep moving. Everyone knows when I coach the likes of Gemma Collins, I said, no gym, clean your diet up. We just won't have any processed foods, move a shit ton. She needs the gym. She doesn't. She just needs to be in a deficit. She needs to move. She needs to understand that at her body weight she was there, you'll burn a shit ton of energy moving. So move. Stop trying to psychologically beat yourself up with the latest diet or doing a HIIT class or circuits or burpees. Fuck all that. Just move. Because larger objects take more calories to move. Find the deficit and guess what happens? Look at some of my clients who lose 12, 15 stone in a year. course they should. A human being 20 stone at 5 foot will lose weight really fucking fast. And they should. It's safe. They're probably 50% above their genetic body weight. The body actually, and this is what gets me when people go, it's not safe to lose 8 pounds in a week. It is if your organs are suppressed, you've got joint problems, you're insulin resistant, you're pre-diabetic, and your body's so inflamed it's probably cancerous. It's very fucking safe to lose weight fast. Very, because on the scale of healthy to non-healthy, you're doing your body a favor. So not all weight loss is the same. And that brings me on to why aren't you doing enough? And I know what you feel like. You've got a family, you've got young kids, you've been disillusioned with weight loss. Chances are you're tired. So someone like me telling you, you need to get on the floor and do a home workout when you come home from the kids. Oh, but Scott, I'll just go to the gym 3 times a week. At 300 calories an hour, 900 calories out, 3,500 is a pound of fat. Where are we finding 2,600 calories from? That's nearly 500 calories less food a day. You might cheat. Chances are you're a shit dieter and you might not count calories well enough. See what I mean? Where am I getting the energy out from? You're going to have to get on the floor, climb the stairs, do some press-ups on your knees, walk around the block a few times a day and go to the gym. It's why people come to me and they go, Scott, I didn't realize you'd have me doing so much, but it wasn't intense. I'd rather you do a lot of low intensity stuff because we need to get calories in, calories out working, than we need to do 60 minutes HIIT class. And it's why, and I don't know why people didn't ask, but Scott, in COVID, you had people training 3 times a day. No, I had people moving 3 times a day. They did a core workout in the morning, they did a walk in the afternoon, and they did a bodyweight workout. None of which are strenuous, and none of which are like 3 gym workouts a day. Because they needed to, and they had the time, and it was a lovely summer. Because that's what it takes to get 3,500 calories out for most people and sustain it without you dropping off every 3 months. And then you come to me and you go, Scott, I've tried every diet. You've not tried every diet properly for long enough because of all the reasons I've said, all the behavioral issues, all the psychological reasons, and all the information and educational reasons to why you should fail. This is why these skinny jabs work while they work, because they actually take out all the noise and force you just to basically starve. And then when you come off them, unfortunately, all the demons come back. But that is going to be another podcast. So everybody asks me about the accounts which peddle this. And the biggest 2 are probably Eddie Abbew and all the organic pages. So I'm not going to give them too much air because really, I can't criticize the thought behind them, which is every one of you consumes too much processed food and doesn't move enough, which I am behind like a night and like, yeah, I'm not going to use that reference. Stuff that comes to my mind shouldn't always come out in a podcast. Yeah, I'm just behind it all the way. What I'm not behind is the nonsense they then peddle to make tons of fucking money. Let's talk about Eddie, the carnivore diet. Now, if you know any good cardiologists, and I stress good, they will tell you that having higher LDL levels, which is bad fat from saturated fat from the carnivore diet, will lay down oxidized LDL, and you will have plaque and you will have a heart attack by the time you're 50, 60 years old. I know because I followed a modified carnivore diet for about 15 years. And when I was 40 for my CT scan to check my arteries, I had slight plaque, everybody. Not severe and not to the point where I'd have a heart attack, but they said, holy shit, how'd you eat? And I went, but it's carnivore diet and cholesterol doesn't count. And luckily I had the best cardiologist in the UK and he went, who the fuck told you that? Why do you think you've got it? And then I started to look at case studies and hired a guy called Dr. Dean and realized that yes, in fact, Eddie and people are dumb as ditch shit. And eating that amount of fat from the carnivore diet will lay down plaque in most of you and you will have a heart attack. It doesn't matter that it lowers inflammation and it doesn't matter that it improves how you think because you haven't got carbohydrates in your system because you're overweight and that slows you down because we've talked about insulin sensitivity. It's the fact that in the long run, you will have heart disease. And lo and behold, who are the healthiest people on the planet with the lowest heart disease and the lowest body fat and the most early and the less signs of dementia? Blue belt diet people. People who have carbohydrates and meats and fish and produce and fiber and do it in moderation. Just Google blue belt countries. And in fact, Eddie is all carbohydrates are bad for you, moron, all fruits are bad for you, bigger moron, and you shouldn't eat rice. People in Japan have the lowest cancer and the lowest obesity risks and have the most rice on earth. What he's trying to do is get a lot of you to stop eating processed food and junk, which is absolutely amazing. Take my hat off. The rest of it is dangerous. And why not eat fruit and veg and rice and potatoes? Because they're really good for you and they're amazing. And potatoes are the number one food to actually make your satiation levels the highest. You will feel more full and less cravings when you eat white potatoes. They hit the highest on the index. And he won't listen to anybody else. And as far as I know, he's a mental health nurse who hadn't practiced in years. No formal qualification, no university studies, didn't flunk out of chemistry class like the rest of us there. Literally someone who's a bodybuilder and decided to jump on this and got 4 million followers. So, follow him if you will. I wouldn't as far as I could throw him, but I will say this, his work on not eating processed food and moving more is second to none. But unfortunately, there is a Jekyll to the Hyde. Now we come to one I find it fucking bizarre because of number one, the lack of any of them being in shape, being fit, muscular, healthy, lean, is the organic presses, the people that stand in supermarket aisles and say, don't eat this, eat that. Number one, you're not defined just by the processed food you eat. You're also defined by how lean you are, how cardiovascularly fit you are, and how active you are. Many, many people have gone to the grave at 80, 90 and had processed food because they were in great shape. Should you? Possibly not. Can you? Yes. And that is an argument because life is boring. It is boring if you don't understand that you can do some things like eat cereal and not have cancer. I saw that the other day on that Review What You Eat guy, million followers. And he said, cancer's increased if you eat sugary cereal. Where to fucking start with that? Don't fucking know. But our ancestors ate organic food. Our ancestors where? What country? For a start. And that's the first thing you ask yourself, what country? Because in North America, they didn't have the same food they had in Japan. In Japan, they didn't have the same food they had in Sicily. So what are you eating? Most of you eating a combination of foods they didn't have back then. But this is one, organic foods. If organic foods are so good for you, why did people, even outside of warring ancestry, die at between 25 and 35 of diseases? And why do people now die at between 81 and 83? And if you look at the science, it's argued that will go up to 90 in the next 10 years if processed foods kill you, because they fucking don't kill you. They're not as good for you as non-processed, but organic foods still contain pesticides. They're still frozen using very clandestine methods. And everyone from our ancestors who ate organic food died young. Science can cancel out a lot of things. So yes, if I was to be a gun put to my head, does my son eat more organic? Yes. Does he have chocolate? Yes. Does he eat some cereal? Yes. Does he have some processed foods? Yes. Because guess what? The human body isn't a papier-mâché figure that gets destroyed like that. I can't remember the account now. There's a big one near here that pushes the organic road. Literally, they don't know the first thing about the chemistry behind food to tell you. They look at numbers which, for instance, they said, stay away from chemicals. Do you know what's a chemical? Water, H2O. Because they don't know the words they're using. And if I were you and educated and someone didn't know the words they were using, I wouldn't follow them at all, because chances are you're getting some good information and some shit. Why not just get good information? So I won't say any more about that, because that's going to actually be another podcast where I've got two very good doctors coming on who aren't shills for Big Pharma. They're just very educated people who are actually going to tell you what is healthy for you and what's not. Because let's all trust the people that spent 7 years learning this, not people that picked up Instagram, grabbed a bottle of fairy liquid and decided they know what they're doing. The legitimacy of them knowing what they're doing and you following them is wild. You wouldn't get in a car that your mate round the corner had built because he was passionate about it with your kids. Yet you're following these accounts and eating because they say so. Wild. So another point people want to say is, because obviously, you want to eat with your family, you want to stay away from processed foods. It's who can I train with? How can I train? But I'm pregnant, and all the family sagas in one. So I'm going to jot these down in a very simple way. Most of you with families do not need the gym. You need to get off your ass. You need to get your kids on your back and do some squats. You need to go walking around the block with your kids. You need to get the pram. You need to do stuff. But Scott, I've got family time. I know. I, this morning, did a whole abs routine at 6:30 in the morning with my 20-month-old son. He loved it. He fell around. But guess what? I just did something. And that's what a lot of you need to realize is because you've got families, it doesn't disable you from being fit. It just means you have to do things things in a small, controlled way. For instance, get good at doing planks for a couple of hours a day, week, month. Get good at climbing the stairs with maybe a cheap weighted vest off Amazon. Being busy doesn't mean you can't be healthy. And what you will actually find is once you actually develop the ability to do things little and often, for instance, you got an hour's break when the kids are asleep, do a home workout. Boring? Yes. Practical? Yes. Does it get results? Yes. Pregnancy. You're not trying to become a CrossFit athlete. You're trying to avoid putting on so much weight. You feel so depressed postpartum and you get depression because, as we know, in the first year, postnatal depression is one of the highest indicators of female suicide. But Scott, let people gain weight if they want. So when the child's born, they feel shit about themselves. They have low body image, depression, anxiety, and suicidal thoughts. No, I'll pretty much suggest we take it on board, which is get a bit more mobile, do a bit of yoga, do a few home workouts, clean up your micronutrients, more vitamins, more minerals, more fruit, more veg, track some calories. Am I telling you to go on 900 calories a day? Sure, I'm not. Am I telling you maybe let's not have 30%, 40% of our diet from sugar and processed food? God, yeah. Am I saying you should drink loads of water? Hell yeah. And you end up finding the lady gets the end of pregnancy. She's put on only baby weight. She felt better. Pregnancy went easier. There were no injuries. She bounced back quickly. She's a better mum for a family. And you can do that without anything evasive and even without a gym. So when it comes to the family, pregnancy, old age, all these things, you just have to work smarter, not harder. There doesn't need to be a gym. You don't need to follow a keto diet. You don't need creatine. You just need to work around what you can and be in a good environment to keep that going. Here's one I get asked a little bit, and it's a very strange concept because I want to take you back to one of the conversations we had on the metabolic pyramid. Scott, steps are just a new fucking thing. We didn't do steps in the 90s. I think that's because people forgot how much we moved in the 90s. We had less Netflix. We had less processed foods. We didn't have all the television stations we had. A lot of our families were still pretty much 50 years post-war. We did more on weekends. There were more greenery, less houses. If I was to show you the metabolic pyramid, that between 20 to 30% of your calories are burned being active because of your body weight, steps are the number one way I ask people to get into fitness, especially if you're overweight. Steps are non-invasive. You can do them whenever you want. I have to admit, there's been times I've walked around the room watching TV. I've walked up and down my street, texting people back. It's easy for everyone to do. It actually uses that body weight, that biggest part of the metabolic pyramid, for good use. And you can practically do it at any age. I mean, my mum's 78 years old and everyone's probably seen her. She looks incredible, looks at least 50 odd. And what's the main thing she does? She walks. Not a member of the gym. She does do the weights a couple hours every other day, but it's moving. And movement is fuel. Movement is fuel for your brain. It's fuel for the way you feel. Your happy hormones go flying. It's fuel for what you're doing. People think all the fuel you have is the food coming in. It's not. It's the get up and go in you. So one of the main things I'm asked is, are steps really important? Most of you are too busy to track your workouts properly, but you're not your steps. So cheap £10 watch or put it on your health app on your phone and get moving. It really is fluid. It keeps the joints. When I had my compressed discs, first thing he said was, how's your hydration? Second thing was, how much do you walk? I went, what do you mean? He said, walking is one of the best things for back injuries. So once I fixed my posture, I walked. So it is something I get asked 2 or 3 times a day. Well, I don't really track my steps. Should I? Yes. It's the hidden calorie burn. It's the hidden movement stabilizer. And it's the hidden physio tool. Most people in their later years, especially most pregnant women and most people with injuries, they lose motion first. Steps are the key. And I actually skipped the last one to midway through. So we're going to talk about the elephant in the room, because at the end of the day, we've talked about it, we've pressed upon it, but I wanted to end with something I started with, which is calories in, calories out defines this whole weight loss game. And people will tell me, they will say, and I've touched upon, they go, Scott, I'm so stressed, it's that stopping me lose weight. And I give you some of the most painful examples ever. And I don't apologize for them because they are so severe that once people hear them, they go, oh, fuck me, you're right. The first one is, if stress stopped fat loss, everyone in concentration camps would be fat as fuck. But they were all absolutely emaciated beyond belief because they had less calories coming in. Half of them didn't move. If you look at the proper accounts of Auschwitz and everywhere else, they were literally piled into rooms like, it was horrific. But they didn't eat. They weren't fed. And they were deathly stressed. Cortisol through the roof. And they slept a lot, so they didn't move a lot. Why were they all skeletal? Calories in were so fucking low that, oh, Scott, I sit at a desk all day, I'm skinny, I'm this, I'm that. Eat less. It's just true. May not be nice. As I said, 50 kilogram woman, sit at a desk all day, you might have to eat 900 calories to lose 2 pounds a week, and you want to go on holiday. I didn't say it'd be easy, and I didn't say it'd be nice. But the reason calories in, calories out can't be beaten is everybody around the world who's had an ailment, illness, or problem is skeletal because of calories in, calories out. Their hormone problem didn't save them. Anorexics, bless them, anorexia nervosa, they can't stop the weight loss because they're constantly in a deficit. Oh, actually, I'm going to add one in. Forgot this one. Scott, I'm in a deficit. I can't lose weight. A deficit means a hole. So that phrase totally means a negative. Nowhere can you be in a negative and it not be negative. You can't be in the dark and in the light. The dark means dark. You can't be in a hole but out of the hole. If I said, I fell in a hole and you went, where's the hole? I go, there, it's that flat ground. You go, well, that's not a fucking hole because a hole is a gap, a negative, a small precipice. Same as deficit. A deficit means a negative. If you're in deficit money per month, you don't have enough to pay your bills. No one ever said, I paid my bills all this month, but I'm in a deficit of money. Well, you can't have been because you paid your bills. You maintained your bills. All right. I wasn't in a deficit then. I had enough money. Same thing, different example, blah, blah, blah. You're not in a deficit because you didn't lose weight. Again, Occam's razor. Think horses, not zebras. Oh, but I didn't lose weight. Must be because you didn't track calories and track steps. Track your workouts. Track the oil. Track the milk. Track the cheat meal. Track the Maltesers by the side of the bed. Track picking your kids' food. Always think horses, not zebras. If you're in a deficit, you lose weight. If I was to take you in a room and sit with you and you got lighter, but mate, your body adapts. I'll just keep making you move and making you eat less, whatever that takes. We do 20 more steps per day and eat 20 calories less per day. And you'll always see the graph go down. It has to, because the body's number one way of protecting itself from not being fed energy in is by eating itself. Now people will go, but Scott, I was in a deficit and I didn't lose weight. Okay, pause for a second. So what you're saying scientifically is, I had no energy coming in, but I was able to survive on energy. That's called perpetual motion. You know those things you get in offices that clang between each other because the first motion caused the other motion? Our bodies aren't like that. Our bodies require constant energy or you fall asleep and then in sleep you die. You pass away from malnourishment. So where was your body getting energy from? The fucking moon? Netflix? No. Energy, calories in. So when people tell me I'm in a deficit, but I'm not losing weight, but I'm not eating more food, I'm like, you fucking have to, or you'd be smaller. That's how the body works. And it's meant to offend you because in the offense should become the questioning. Oh, fuck, actually. Oh, I didn't do this much this week, or I ate this much, or I didn't do this, or I overate that, or I had this in my coffee. A deficit, like people say, Scott, but I'm in deficit 3 months, I haven't lost any weight. So you weren't in a deficit. Yeah, I was because I did this. That wasn't sufficient. Yeah, but I moved here. Wasn't enough. But I ate 1,200 calories. Needed to be 11. But I don't like that. Aha. Behavior, mood. Got nothing to do with the maths. I've dieted probably every year for 20 years because I like to be a bit heavier like now and then I like to be really ripped every summer. Never enjoyed one diet in 20 years. Whatever it took, like, I don't know if you followed me 2 years ago. Business was booming, didn't really get to move a lot. I had to eat like 1,500 calories to lose weight, even at my size. It was fucking horrible. But guess what? Calories in, calories out. Oh, but I want to eat 2,000 calories and be happier. Body didn't give a shit. Body said no. Fine, dust. That's what it took. So that's what I'm trying to tell you. In the arching statement is it might not be cool what you have to do, or you may not like it, or you may be too busy to not eat like a pauper, or you may be too busy to do lots of steps. So it has to come from the diet. But overall, calories in, calories out cannot be matched. Thermodynamics cannot be beaten. You're not a perpetual engine. You're not a perpetual engine machine. If you can survive, if your body can facilitate moving and every other function with no calories going in, please sign up to some kind of Nobel Prize winning competition, because you have just become the first human to work off no energy. But it isn't. It will be pulling energy from your fat stores. It'll be making muscle turn into lovely energy systems, and you'll get skinnier and look worse, but it will come from inward, which means the scales will show you got lighter. A lot of you will want to know about muscle, replacing fat and all that gibberish. That's going to be another podcast. So I wanted to keep this short enough that you will leave this podcast understanding the nuances of weight loss, and or if you're stuck or in a bind, what to look for, or if you want to hire a coach like me, what they should be looking for with you, so you don't have to be the person who messages me every week and says, Scott, I know I stuck to the deficit you stuck to, but I didn't lose weight, and you're 30% body fat, and you and I both know you're lying. Now you know I know you're lying. You don't have to say it. We all know it. So that concludes the last podcast. The next one is going to be with some good friends of mine, so I will keep you posted. But thank you all for tuning in, and please like, share, and follow, because it really helps the algorithm.